What's your Everest? Well, probably a good place for me to start is at the very beginning. I grew up in Calgary, Canada, with a fascination with hockey. I wanted to be a hockey player. But my mom does not like hockey. She thinks it's a dangerous and violent sport. So she suggested I climb mountains instead. So years went by and I started to read the books that she gave me. I watched the films. I found in every one of those books beautiful pictures of far off and exotic locales, the Himalaya and the Andes and the Alps. And I began to think that maybe this whole mountain climbing thing would be pretty cool. And reading those stories, I found that the people who engage in these expeditions, regardless of whether they actually stood upon the summit or failed in their efforts to get there, they came home somehow changed. They had evolved. Their characters were forged anew. And that, as a 12-year-old kid, became pretty interesting, fascinating, really. And I began to think, well, if I'm not going to be a hockey player, maybe I could be a mountain climber. And if I'm not going to win the Stanley Cup, what would be the mountaineering equivalent to that trophy, to that prize? And so I began flipping through the family encyclopedia, looking for the world's highest mountain. And there, in full color and full page, was a photograph of Mount Everest, the world's highest mountain. And from that point forward, I basically began to pursue this dream of climbing Mount Everest. I had no idea what it required, but I had this belief that it could be possible. I had this notion that maybe I could do it. There weren't a million reasons why I couldn't. I would encounter those later. But at that young age, I was very lucky to stumble upon something that ignited my imagination, that fueled my passion, that was fascinating. And I began to read and study and plan and organize and think. This is what I want to do. I want to climb Mount Everest. And to have that idea set my life in a certain path. And so for you in your life, what's your Everest? You don't necessarily have to be some 12-year-old kid who stumbles upon it in a book. Just sit for a while. Maybe journal. Write it out. What is my Everest? Whew, boom. Question mark. For me, it was one very literal. It was rock. It was snow. It was this mountain on the border between Nepal and Tibet. It was the highest point on Earth. But for you, it could be entirely different. It could be a career that you're thinking about or trying to choose as you get through university or otherwise. Maybe it's a change of career now that you've started a job. It could be anything. You could be there at 15 years old wondering, what am I going to do? And it's okay to say, I don't know. But write it out, think about it, and contemplate. What's your Everest? Because it's out there, and its summit awaits you.